Greetings, chess friends. Boy, do we have a treat for you today. One of the most tactical games I've ever seen. And I'm usually searching through some games, clicking around, and sometimes I'm just stunned by the creativity, the sacrificing, the attacking, or some amazing feature to a game. I love the players here, David Bronstein and Rashid Nezhmetdinov. Now, if you don't know the name, either of them, I definitely recommend looking up some games. Bronstein tied for the world championship. One of the greatest players to not be the world champion. In those days, tie goes to the champion. No tie breaks. His opponent, Nezhmetdinov, Super Nej, you've heard him called, perhaps, but really has this ultra sacrificial, surprising, Tal-like style. And of course, those two crossed swords many times. This game from the 1957 Soviet Championships. So let's take a look here. If you were to make a bet on a tactical outcome, a crazy, surprising game, these two would be the ones you'd want to put against each other. Along with Tal, I would say they represent the most aggressive of the Soviet chess school, and really taking that to new heights, past the levels of Morphy and Alekhine, to just outrageous nature sometimes. The games still are wondrous to us today. Let's jump into this one. A clash with Bronstein with the white pieces. Ruy Lopez here. I don't like to get too detailed in the openings in these videos, but you can look for yourself. Typically, bishop does not come out this way in Ruy Lopez. But again, I don't like to criticize the openings of the players so long ago either. So let's just kind of enjoy the ride. Queen e8, lining up some danger. You could imagine this knight moving and uncovering an attack. So Bronstein plays bishop to b3, lining up with the king. King h8, sensible move. D takes e5, the first capture in the game, and this game actually goes quite a while without any exchanges. Here we are on move 15 right here, and still only one pawn has been exchanged by each player. I'm going to slow down a little as we get to the key moments here, but queen e2, getting out of the way of the pin. f5, that is really starting to fight. You knew it was coming with these two guys, and here the clash of these pawns in the center, the threat perhaps of even pushing the pawn forward, breaking open the king. I must say the white king probably isn't feeling too safe with the bishop close by here, but neither is the black king with this bishop here. You knew you weren't going to have a positional, slow building game. So here we go. You play f5, I play f4. And an explosion here on the king side. These pawns, whenever you have this quadrant, these four pawns like this, and one can take here, and you can take me, and I can take you, and everyone has to calculate so many exchanges, so much tension there. The game really gets complicated. So here we go. Finally, 17th move, we start having some captures. Of course, the game is very crowded, makes it more complicated. E takes f4. Bishop takes f4. F takes e4, and knight takes e4. Okay, all four pawns gone in just two moves. When the center is really open like this, that's when chess games can get the most tactical. Think of players speeding around like a race car with no roadblocks or speed bumps or anything in the way. Your bishops and rooks can go as fast as they want. So you can see both players controlling open files, open diagonals, white, black here, this bishop close to our king, this bishop cutting through the... It's a very, very wild position. Both players sort of aiming their weapons at each other. Knight d5. A good move, which also notice uncovers the queen. Here, threatening maybe just to exchange pieces. Here would be a capture I think black would be excited to make. Probably ripping away some protection of the white king. And that bishop moves to g5, threatening the rook. A little tip for everybody, when you are under attack here, and make no mistake, this is serious. If knight gets to take this, the rook also there, this pawn would have to take back as it stands, and the king would be feeling a cool breeze around him. So this bishop is going to move, and a good idea is to try to make a threat when you move. So this is essentially a retreat, but threatening the rook. A good move here. And black, Nezhmetdinov, really goes too far overboard, as per his style. Very on brand here. Knight d4. You and I see the double question marks, but if I were to get rid of those, you would be terrified to see this move land on the board in a tournament game, as would I. Because knight d4 is very scary. Obviously, our queen is under attack. The bishop is under attack. Here, the knight threatening even to infiltrate, perhaps trade this defender away. Very, very scary. Pawn takes, bishop takes. How are we feeling here? How are we feeling with the white pieces? Our king getting crisscrossed here with the bishops and the rooks, the knight, the queen. Every piece is playing. There are no pawns to obstruct anybody. But black is down a piece. So black, for just one pawn, has a lot to prove here. Knight e3. Kind of a misdirection. You see the knight. Where is it going? Where is it going? Well, the real threat is actually here. Queen takes this knight, and that would be a check, and very nearly checkmate. Bishop c2, a good defensive move. The engine also gives kind of the inhumane queen d3 walking into the way of this, but again, that rook can be taken soon. So we have some very overlapping principles, let's say. And that's what makes chess so difficult, is that so many principles do overlap. You should never do this, but sometimes you can. And then when this happens, you're in big danger, but not this time because you're getting to them first. So many things overlapping. But bottom line is that really this attack is not quite enough, and white is winning. White here plays knight f3, bringing that knight back off the edge of the board, but threatening to trade pieces, cutting off the rook from defending that square f2 where the knight was heading, supporting the bishop even further. A really good move, knight f3, and queen c6. Maybe a little too proud to move this rook in danger. And this often happens, the inertia of a chess game where you just feel like you have to keep attacking, which is often the case. For an attack to succeed, you do often have to keep pedaling, so to speak. Queen c6, and boy, oh boy, this is scary though, I must say. Bronstein, undeterred, plays bishop takes rook. Notice at this moment, we, white, are up a minor piece and a rook for a pawn. That is a whole lot, a minor piece and a rook. But then comes rook takes f3. You thought he was going down without a fight. There's no chance of that. In this game, Nezhmetdinov really swinging right back. Wow, what else can you do besides queen takes? Notice that queen f8 is threatened, and that's also checkmate on black. So we have just one moment to make a good move here. Knight f2, and this is all based on the fact that if knight takes that knight, which is allowed, queen takes queen for free. But perhaps in all this mess, maybe he calculated all of this and overlooked the fact that Bronstein has a miraculous move. Queen takes f2. That really puts out all the fires and just shows a beautiful defensive understanding, defensive concept here. And that concept is really giving back material. If you are ahead in points, like we said, we were up a lot of points at this moment, you can give some back in order to put out a fire, okay? In order to survive or get to a safe landing place, a safe winning endgame, give material back. Let's see what happens. Bishop takes that queen. Let's again pause and take a material count. So we have two minor pieces, and let's say these two bishops and bishops. Black has an extra queen, but in exchange for that, we have rook, let's make them a different color here. Rook, and knight. So queen and pawn versus rook and knight. White is slightly ahead, but actually the king that's in more danger might surprise you. Bishop f6. That bishop wakes back up. Well, if you don't want to give your queen, the only move is king g8. This bishop, which is under attack, also slides over. Check. And who's crisscrossing who here? King f8. Could have blocked with the bishop, but not helping. King f8. And another really nice move here. Rook a d1. And the attacking principles and defending principles displayed here by Bronstein was really just magical. I love rook d1 with the slight threat. Rook d1 with the threat of rook d8. That would force black to give their queen. Bishop takes that rook. Again, I might add to everyone, if you ever find yourself in one of these wild tactical chess games, captures here, captures there, I hope you have plenty of time on your clock, and I hope you keep careful count of the material. When I was growing up, my coach and the strong players around me, they used to reiterate, there's no excuse for not knowing the material count. That's a mistake you just can't make. Just getting to the end of a variation and say, oh, I'm down a knight. I didn't realize. Not counting properly is a colossal mistake in chess and just unacceptable. So when you're going through these variations, hopefully you have plenty of time, classical game, and you can actually keep a proper count. Here, again, after rook d8, the only legal move is blocking with your queen. And here, the dust is settled. Most pieces have traded. The kings are not going to get mated anymore. And black has one pawn for the knight. White really came out of that, survived, and really took over in getting to an endgame. A really nice finish. Let's see the end of the game. Bishop c3, just forcing a trade. This bishop essentially trapped. Capture, capture. King e7. Perhaps black can mount some offensive with b5 and... no, a4. Here, black resigned the game. Pretty standard technique for players of this caliber. We're just one minor piece down. It's the same color bishop, and there's really no chance. Activate your kings. White would love any type of trades of any kind. Don't trade too many pawns, but should be an easy cleanup. Wow. That game was really, really something, and it started a little slow until the moment here of f4, and when these 4 pawns all got exchanged, that's where the game really started to pick up. So again, for your games to keep in mind, the opening of the center when the pieces start having open lines and slicing through bishops and rooks, especially the long distance pieces. That's when a game can get super tactical. And just reminder to keep accurate material count in these tactical shootouts, right? Giving back material. Those two are kind of connected. If you are keeping an accurate count, you know I can afford to give back material. It's like donating to charity, your favorite charity, winning at chess. So rook takes f3. This was the fun part of the game. Queen takes f3, knight f2, and queen takes f2. Very easy variation to miss. Perhaps he thought he was just winning the game and found out he was losing. Really showing the defensive and then immediately turning to aggressive intentions here. Bishop b3 and rook d1, adding the last piece. I love that chess culture, high culture of chess, using all of the pieces. It's almost as simple and poetic. The king that's in more danger actually was black. And after the queens go, really white was completely safe and just up a knight. Wonderful game from the Soviet chess school here. David Bronstein, again, one of the great players to not win the world title. He tied Botvinnik in 51, and tie goes to the champion. In fact, he had a 1-game lead with 2 games left. So definitely a player, if you've never heard of, you want to look at some games. King's Gambit, many miniatures all over the place. And I think if you click through my videos, you might even find some more. So really appreciate the view, everybody. We're gaining some momentum here on the channel. So I appreciate any type of like, subscribe, comments, suggestions, or just really the support is appreciated. So have a great day, and we'll see you next time.